Trump administration asked Supreme Court to lift limits on roving LA area immigration raids. The Trump administration is seeking Supreme Court intervention to remove judicial limits on ICE's roving immigration raids in the Los Angeles area, while the U.S. State Department is rolling out a new visa bond program targeting travelers from countries with high overstay rates. If you are interested in this topic, please pay attention and watch the video through to the end to get all the information. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. The Trump administration asked the Supreme Court on Thursday to lift a judge's limits on roving immigration raids in the Los Angeles area. A federal judge last month ruled immigration and customs enforcement agents were conducting raids that likely ran afoul of constitutional protections against unreasonable seizures. The limits prohibit ICE from relying on someone's apparent race, use of Spanish, presence at a particular location, or their type of work to form reasonable suspicion to stop and detain them. No one thinks that speaking Spanish or working in construction always creates reasonable suspicion. Nor does anyone suggest those are the only factors federal agents ever consider. Solicitor General D. John Sauer wrote in the administration's Supreme Court papers. But in many situations, such factors alone or in combination can heighten the likelihood that someone is unlawfully present in the United States, he continued. Sauer said the ruling interferes with law enforcement in an epicenter for ICE operations, estimating that 2 million people in the country illegally live in the judicial district where the ruling applies. It covers the Central District of California, which spans Los Angeles and surrounding areas of the state, including Riverside, San Luis Obispo, and San Bernardino. U.S. District Judge Mame Usimensa Frimpong, an appointee of former President Biden, imposed the limits last month as a lawsuit filed by 5 migrants stopped by ICE and 4 private organizations proceeds. Sauer contended that the plaintiffs don't have legal standing to bring the case because they don't face immediate risk of being subjected to an unconstitutional stop. Sauer also argued the judge's ruling misapplies the Fourth Amendment and flouts the Supreme Court's recent decision clawing back universal injunctions. The administration's Supreme Court appeal comes after the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals largely left the judge's ruling in place. The Trump administration has regularly sought the High Court's emergency intervention when lower judges block major policy priorities. Thursday's filing marks the administration's 22nd emergency application at the Supreme Court since taking office, and almost all have been successful. What is a visa bond? Here's who is affected by the U.S. State Department's new program. In a new measure aimed at tightening immigration controls, the U.S. State Department has announced that travelers from certain countries will have to pay refundable visa bonds of up to $15,000 before entering the United States. The 12-month pilot program begins on August 20th and applies to B, 1 business, and B, 2 tourism visa applicants from countries with historically high visa overstay rates, as outlined in the department's temporary final rule published in the Federal Register on August 5th. The bond will be refunded if travelers depart the U.S. before their authorized stay ends. The move follows other restrictions, including a travel ban on nationals from 12 countries and additional visa-related fees. Who is affected by the new rule? The requirement applies only to nationals from countries with high overstay records. It does not affect visitors from Mexico, Canada, or the 40-plus countries in the U.S. visa waiver program, which allows stays of up to 90 days without a visa. For targeted countries, the new requirement adds a significant financial hurdle, potentially discouraging some travelers altogether. What is a visa bond? A visa bond is a monetary deposit intended to ensure that visitors comply with the terms of their visa, especially the departure date. The U.S. issues thousands of non-immigrant visas annually for students, tourists, and workers, ranging in validity from weeks to years. If a visitor stays past their authorized date, they become a visa overstay and accrue unlawful presence despite having entered legally. Many countries require proof of sufficient funds, but few demand a refundable bond. New Zealand once had such a policy, and the United Kingdom briefly proposed one in 2013 for certain high-risk countries before abandoning it. How much are the bonds? Bond will be set at $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000, with consular officers deciding the amount based on personal circumstances, such as purpose of travel, income, job history, education, and skills. The State Department estimates about 2,000 visa applicants will be required to post bonds during the first year. If the average bond is $10,000, the total value of bonds collected would reach $20 million. Has the U.S. tried this before? Yes. A similar policy was introduced under the Trump administration in 2020, but was never fully implemented due to a drop in global travel during the COVID-19 pandemic. For decades, the State Department discouraged bonds, citing administrative challenges and the risk of negative public perception. However, the department now points to data showing hundreds of thousands of visitors each year failing to leave on time as justification for the change. Which countries are first in line? Malawi and Zambia will be the first countries subject to the bond requirement for B1 and B2 visas starting August 20th. Other countries will be added based on high overstay rates, inadequate vetting procedures, or the existence of citizenship by investment programs. CBI programs grant citizenship to foreign nationals in exchange for investment, often without residency requirements. Countries offering CBI programs include Antigua and Barbuda, Austria, Jordan, St. Lucia, and Turkey, countries with high visa overstay rates. The Department of Homeland Security's 2023 Overstay Report lists several African nations, along with Haiti, Laos, Myanmar, and Yemen, among the highest for B1 and B2 visa overstays. Some countries from the Trump-era travel ban list, such as Chad and Eritrea, have high overstay percentages. How significant are visa overstays in the U.S. immigration picture? In fiscal year 2023, DHS recorded about 39 million expected departures by visa holders, but roughly 400,000 individuals overstayed. Visa overstayers make up a substantial share of the undocumented population in the U.S. The Migration Policy Institute notes they significantly contribute to unauthorized immigration growth. Historical estimates include 41% of undocumented immigrants in 2000 were overstayers per the Immigration and Naturalization Service in 2002. A recalculation in 2003 put the figure at 33%. The Center for Migration Studies found 42% for 2014, a figure cited again in 2024. Tracking exact figures remains difficult. Jeffrey Passel of the Pew Research Center notes that available data lacks details on how individuals enter the country, making precise estimates challenging.
Trump administration asked Supreme Court to lift limits on roving LA area immigration raids. The Trump administration has asked the US Supreme Court to lift restrictions on roving ICE raids in Los Angeles and surrounding areas imposed by Judge Mam Ivusi Mensah Frimpong after finding they may violate Fourth Amendment protections. The limits prevent ICE from using factors such as race, Spanish language use, location, or type of work as sole reasons for suspicion. Solicitor General D. John Sauer argued such factors can still heighten the likelihood of unlawful presence and that the ruling disrupts operations in a region with an estimated 2 million undocumented residents. Meanwhile, the State Department will launch a 12-month visa bond pilot program on August 20, requiring certain B1 or B2 applicants from high overstay countries to post refundable bonds of $5,000 to $15,000. Malawi and Zambia are first on the list, with more nations to follow. This aims to deter overstays but could burden low-income travelers and strain diplomacy. Critics warn it may penalize legitimate visitors, while supporters say it adds accountability.